When it comes to lyricism, many songwriters can face writer's block. There are a few hacks that will not only get your lyrics started, but improve them as well. Today you're going to follow along with me as I write some lyrics, and I'll show you all of these hacks. Last summer I offered an in-person summer songwriting workshop that went over all of the aspects of songwriting. By the end, my students were able to not only write a song, but do so confidently. This year I decided to share this course on YouTube for all of you to have. So in this upcoming songwriting series, we're going to go over all of the important steps and aspects required to write your next Billboard ranking song. For those of you who don't know, I write music for Lou Lagoon, a Denver-based indie band. We've released 2 albums and gone on a couple of tours. On top of that, I've written classical pieces for my undergrad, and you could say my songwriting experience ranges, but today we're going to focus on non-classical style of writing. Without further ado, let's go get our notebooks and work on this together. So if you haven't already, please be sure to check out my last video on song form because we're going to use those elements to talk about lyrics today. So today we're going to do kind of like a silly songwriting exercise, and we're going to do, maybe we'll talk about pho. I love pho. It's one of my favorite foods. I eat it all the time, especially when it's cold and rainy. I love pho. So I'm going to write a song about pho. Because I'm not going to focus on music today, I'm going to skip an introduction. So if we've got our song form, right, and we write intro, there might be some music here. We're gonna kind of skip that though. So we're just gonna jump right into the verse. So remember what I talked about with the last video of that the verses kind of touch on why we're writing the song in the first place. So the subject is pho. We're writing about pho. So why am I writing about pho? I'm writing about pho because I love it, but let's dig a little deeper. Why else do I love it? It's really yummy. What's yummy about it? So on and so forth. Do you see what I'm seeing? The first thing I like to do is I like to just think about one sentence, no matter how silly or serious, one sentence that comes to mind in relation to pho. For me, the line is yummy yummy in my tummy. This is so silly, just bear with me. This is purely for exercise, okay? So yummy yummy in my tummy. The next line has to continue with that idea. We're talking about yummy yummy in my tummy. What's yummy yummy in my tummy? Pho. So maybe I'm not gonna rhyme yet, just gonna continue this. Yummy yummy in my tummy. I got a bowl of pho. That's the first 2 lines. Now I want to decide if I want to make all of these rhyme. Typically we want to use the last word of the first sentence and have it rhyme with the last word of the third sentence. This isn't always the case. You can explore what you want to rhyme, how you want to rhyme, etc. It could be every line that rhymes. But for this song, I'm gonna rhyme the first line, the end of the first line with the end of the third line. What are some things that you can use to help you rhyme? There's this thing called rhymezone.com, which I have used. I have used it unashamedly. I love RhymeZone. Especially helps when I'm just starting out or if I'm really in a writer's block. So something that kind of rhymes with yummy, but not fully, we at least have that me at the end, is hurry. Okay, so those are some options. Hurry, scurry, clumsy, so on and so forth. I want to kind of go along with this yummy yummy in my tummy. We're repeating the first word. So maybe I'm going to do slurpy, slurpy, better, hurry. Now I have to rhyme the 4th line, the end of the 4th line, with the end of the 2nd line. Pho. So it's got to be something that ends in a. Now here's something that you can do if you're really struggling, and this is what a lot of rappers do, which some people really like, other people don't. So it's up to you and if you want to use this. If you have a word that you're struggling to rhyme with, you can make another word that almost rhymes rhyme a little bit more. So for example, I'm saying slurpy slurpy better hurry. Why are we hurrying? There's soup in the area. Area rhymes with pho, right? So we've got yummy yummy in my tummy. I got a bowl of pho. Slurpy slurpy better hurry. Soup in the area. And you can play with how you stress certain words to better rhyme, right? So we usually say area, we don't say area, but I'm gonna change it. So instead of area, it's gonna be area. So it rhymes with pho. You get the similar syllabic stress. So now we've written a verse. Let's go write a chorus. Remember what I said, that the chorus tends to wrap everything into one idea, right? So wraps all of your feelings, all of your emotions you have about whatever topic you're writing about into a couple of sentences. I'm gonna kind of play with the word pho a little bit. So a lot of Americans don't know that pho is pronounced pho. They see P-H-O and they say pho. I'm going to play with that idea. Okay, so we're gonna go pho, pho, I love you so, and this is really silly. as Americans like to call it. And then I have to kind of come up with another line that's gonna continue this idea of why I love pho, or just generally how I feel about pho. Maybe we're talking about eating, so maybe I'll write, feed me, I starve to feast. Now I kind of want to talk about a little bit of like the places I go to eat pho. Usually I'll do takeout, but there's one place that I like to go. So maybe I'll say to rhyme with call it, I'll say haul it, Haul it. The nice thing about short words is that it's technically okay to rhyme those words together. So call it is 2 words, but haul it are also 2 words, and those its go together, but so do the call and haul. So maybe I'll say, feed me, I starve to feast, and this is really stupid, your ass better haul it where? To the pho place, right? So we have to start talking about the pho place. To the place. Now what happens at this place? For me, every time I go to my favorite pho place, there's the same guy who comes up to me. He's very matter of fact, like no service industry persona, just very much just like, what do you want? Like, and I love that about him. So I call him the father of the broth. It's just every time I show up, he's there and he gives me the soup. So he's the father of the broth. So, and your ass better haul it to the place where we get to meet the father of the broth. Now, another thing we're going to talk about is how much I go and get pho. I go all the time, probably a couple times a month. If I don't, then something's wrong with me. So maybe we'll say we have to rhyme broth with something. So maybe it'll be moth, a moth to a flame, right? So maybe I'll say, I can't resist that it's a flame and I'm its moth. And there you go. That's the first verse and then the chorus. Now I'm going to continue to go on to the second verse. So the second verse, I'm going to continue to describe either pho or my love for pho. So maybe let's get into the details of pho. So this is verse 2. We're continuing to explain our story, to explain why we're here, why we're telling the story. So what do the elements of pho? It depends on what pho you get, but most pho will always have bean sprouts, onions, basil leaf, jalapeno, depending on where you are, right? So maybe I'll say basil leaves and sprout of bean. Remember, we decided that we're not going to rhyme the first line with the second line. So it can be any line. Basil leaves and sprout of bean do what? They do what? They taste good, they change the flavor, what does it look like when you get a bowl of pho? They decorate the bowl. Not only do they taste good, but they decorate the bowl. What about the other elements to pho? So we're not going to talk about the kind of pho we get. There's pho ga, which is chicken pho, there's beef pho, there's veggie pho, so many different types of pho. The other elements that I listed in pho were that it had jalapeno. We talked about jalapeno. We talked about onion, but I don't know if I like the word onion. And this is how picky you can get. You can say, I think the word onion is really weird and I don't want that in my song. Totally fine. Jalapeno and lime. So jalapeno and lime. And again, remember we talked about changing the stress of words. I'm going to go jalapeno and lime to go. Now this is where I changed it. The first line no longer rhymes with the third line. So I'm going to make the second line rhyme with the fourth line. The thing about songwriting is you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to do that. So we're going to do, to decorate the bowl, this is going to be so easy. I'll eat it till I'm full. Basil leaves and sprout of bean to decorate the bowl. Jalapeno and lime to go. I'll eat it till I'm full. So the nice thing about songwriting is that we've written a verse, we've written another verse, and we've written a chorus. You could, if you wanted to, write a whole other chorus, new words to put in the second chorus, but you don't have to. Your chorus can be used over and over and over and over again. And I especially recommend that if you're writing pop music, because you want people to remember the song after you've written it. So repetition is huge. So making sure that you take the first chorus that you write and repeating it is going to be really helpful in making that song popular. That was a silly example of one of the songs that we wrote together. But maybe let's take a look at one of my already written songs and go over the structure a little bit more. So this song is called Blood Moon. I wrote it for my second album. It's the first song on our album. You can listen to it using the link below. And we're gonna go over the structure of this song as kind of another lesson into songwriting. I knew I wanted this song to be about climate change, but I didn't want it to be like corny or cheesy. I wanted it to be genuine and somewhat poetic. So I knew I wasn't gonna be super literal with the words that I used, and that it was gonna be more metaphorical, symbolic. The first line that just kept coming to my head was, they used to say that all the world's a stage. Honestly, when it comes to songwriting and when it comes to lyrics, just write down the first line that comes to your head, even if it's stupid. You don't have to keep it, but it might help kind of get the snowball rolling down the hill. So we have, they used to say that all the world's a stage, but what happened to that stage? Is it still there? Does it work? Do people still perform on it? If not, why? And I wanted to kind of go with the theme of like the world is on fire type thing. So I said, they used to say that all the world's a stage, but now it's burned down, and I can't say it's the same for you and for me. Not a lot of those words are rhyming. Same and stage are probably as close as I get to rhyming. And this was when I was in my Joni Mitchell listening era, and a lot of her songs don't really rhyme. That's kind of her thing, and that's also something that you can do. You don't have to rhyme your words. Just sometimes makes it easier. Then the next line, I wanted to continue talking about this stage and how it was burned. So I said, it supports, so the supports of the stage, charcoaled black. I suppose you'd like to know where to go from here. Again, it doesn't rhyme. Doesn't have to. Then the chorus, I wanted it to be simple. I didn't want it to be poetic. I wanted it to be simple. So when the moon turns red and the sky turns black and the water is brown, a little corny, kind of hate that line now, but it's too late. It's already out there. And the water's brown, then you must turn back. And that's the chorus. And I just use that and repeat it over and over and over again. Then the second verse, I kind of wanted to talk about, I was writing this song when the wildfires were really bad in Colorado, which is where I live. So I wanted to talk about the details of what happens when the air is full of smoke. One of the things that happens is that the sun will burn red, like fully red at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll look like it's setting, but it's still at the highest point in the sky. So I wrote, the sun burns red in the late afternoon, hoping at some point I can breathe clear soon. Okay, so I did rhyme there, for me and for you. Just wanted to kind of keep that idea from the first verse where I said, and I can't say it's the same for you or for me. And then continuing with this wildfire imagery, the ash weighs heavy on my soul as I wait in line for the election polls. So this was also during the time of the 2020 election, I think, that I wrote this. So again, the stress, the weight of climate falling apart, having to go stand in line at the polls for, scared for the future, etc. As I wait in line for the election polls, I suppose you'd like to know where to go from here. So again, I just borrowed that idea from the first verse, pulled it in the second verse. Borrowing is okay. And you can just repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and people will love it. It doesn't matter. Okay, and then we go back to the chorus. I didn't write a bridge for this, and you don't have to write a bridge, like I said before, but remembering that a bridge is kind of a but what if moment. If you do decide to write a bridge, maybe if I decided to write a bridge in that song, in Blood Moon, it would be, there's always a glimmer of light or something like that. There's always something that allows me to hold on to hope. And that's kind of what I would do if I were to add a bridge. So I hope you enjoyed coming along this journey with me. I hope this makes sense. I'm not used to doing this kind of teaching of songwriting in a visual or video setting. Please leave any comments down below if you have any questions, and I will see you next time.